Hello again, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in to this week's Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. For this week's newsletter, I wanted to give a little bit of an update, an outlook on the trips that we'd planned for this spring and fall, and where we're going from here. And many of you will have received an email from me in your inboxes over the past few days explaining exactly where we stand. And as I announced to most of our members back in January, for obvious reasons, travel in the short term is still going to have to remain a bit of a dream with the pandemic surging in many parts of the world and the delays in getting it under control with vaccinations and all of the other measures. It just, for the next few months, look like we're going to have to hang on a little bit longer. So specifically speaking, talking about our programs that we had scheduled for this spring, we were looking forward to going to the Azores and Porto in the end of this month, but we've put that off until 1 year later, so we'll be heading on the same itinerary at this time next year. Similarly, our Fjords of Norway program, which was almost sold out, a very popular trip, will be moved to almost the same dates 1 year hence. We were also planning to go to Sicily and Malta on a wonderful yacht cruise from Naples via the Aeolian Islands and Sicily, and ending up with several days in Malta. That trip, which was rebooked to June, is now going to be postponed till May of next year. Similarly, we were planning a wonderful island hopping trip, spending several days in a number of Greek islands. That was slated for June, and once again, we've also had to move that off to next year. And finally, our Ireland program, the Emerald Isle, one of my favorite places to go, so much fun, was slated for June, and we're going to be pushing that back by 1 year as well. Yeah, there was one more program in there, which was our Scotland by Sea, also by an expedition ship, going around the coast of Scotland to some wonderful ports. And we're looking at rescheduling that again for May of next year. So pretty much everything up until the summer. We're going to have to say, unfortunately, in several cases, one more time, that we're not going to be able to go, but we'll be releasing the new dates for those programs in 2022 over the next several weeks, so stay tuned for that. Looking out a little bit further, of course, I know many of you are wondering what's going to happen with our fall trips, beginning with our Trans-Siberian adventure from Moscow to Beijing, which is slated for September. We're still hanging on hope of going. I had a long conversation with the train operator the other day. They are resuming their operations in August as of the present time, and we really hope that we're going to be able to go. It's going to depend on so many factors to see if in the next couple of months we get the green light on that. So stay tuned for that. Our Yachting the Turkish Mediterranean program looks like we're going to remove it from the program just out of an abundance of caution, given what's going on there. We thought maybe better to put that off for another year. And our wonderful Adriatic Coast program, cruising along the beautiful Croatian coastline, that's still intact, and we certainly hope we're going to be able to go. They're gunning for a strong summer season. Things are getting under control, so we're still planning to go there in October, but stay tuned on that one as well, because there's still a ways to go. Coming up in terms of new webinars, and this is the good news, our Liveaways programs have been a resounding success so far. In particular, Koh Samui, which exceeded even my expectations. We're almost sold out on that program. We have a couple of room categories left, so we can hopefully squeeze you in if you're still interested to come along. But I think it's great news, because it just shows how anxious we are all to get out and see a different part of the world, and certainly get away from Canadian winter. Our Madeira and Cyprus programs, we already have a good-sized group together, but there is still space on those. So if you're interested, definitely drop us a note, and we'll get you signed up for that, because there's an early booking bonus that's good up until the end of this month. So you can take advantage of that. And of course, there's no deposit required until June, because we just want to give you the flexibility that you don't have to worry about committing before we know more about the pandemic. Our next two webinars, first of all, again, talking about the Adriatic coast of Croatia, and Slovenia. We're going to be delivering our webinar for our Spring 2022 program. It's one of our most popular programs, so if you're interested in finding more about that, this coming Thursday the 18th of May at our usual time, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we'll be talking to you about that trip. And the following week, on the heels of the success of our Liveaways programs, we're going to be looking at a few different places we're planning to offer in the end of next year and beyond. I know many of you like to plan far ahead. And so if you'd like to know what's up our sleeves, we're going to be talking first of all about Bali, Indonesia, which I think is a great addition to a Southeast Asia program, great place to spend some of the winter months. We're going to be looking at Tuscany, Italy, as well as Malta. And finally, a bit of an outlier, Colombia, the country, which is an incredible place, completely changed over the last 10, 15 years, and would be a fascinating place to spend a month in the wintertime. So that's happening on March the 25th, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Once again, please join us for that webinar. Find out what's in store with our upcoming live away programs, and I look forward to catching up with you again next week. I'm going off for another little road trip here in Thailand to just see some of the other beautiful spots around this country, and I will report back to you next week.